Hey, good peoples. So much to tackle today. Got Kanye, Kim K, Will Smith, and the Real Housewives of Potomac today. I know I've been gone for a while, but I am Chaya, and I am here to break it down. Right. Hello, one and all. I'm Chaya, the Melanin Maven. And if this is your first time to watch this show, I definitely need you to subscribe, click that notification button, and follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Yes, I am there. And definitely keep up with all things Melanin Movement. So, I have been under the weather. I'm not even gonna lie. Your girl had COVID bad. I thought I was going to hack up a lung. This is my second time having COVID. And the thing is, I don't be around people like that. So I don't even know how I got it. But anyway, that's besides the point. Let's jump right in this. First of all, yay. Oh, Father. It's so much with him that you can't really keep up. Between him meeting with Trump, him meeting with Nick Fuentes, an alt-right stone cold bigot, and Ray J. Talk about a threesome. Like, dude, before, not even before, because you was messing up before after slavery was a choice. You was messing up after George Floyd didn't really get murdered by a knee on the neck. You messed up a whole lot with us in the past. And black people is forgiven. But ain't but so much we gonna forgive and overlook. And I tell everybody, God didn't give me these big eyes for nothing. I see everything. Now, Ye done been meeting with Nick Fuentes. Like, doesn't it seem like all of the right wingers and like everybody that is a douchebag, don't it seem like they pick their nose like in front of people? Like, everybody does a little, every now and again, but I'm talking about really digging for boogers. That's what it looked like they do. I'm sorry to be so vivid, but sometimes you got to paint the whole picture for people. So apparently he had dinner with Trump, and now Trump is turning on him like his hair, like his wig, okay? And Trump goes off on Kanye and says, "You're just a lunatic, yay." Takes one to know one. Ooh. Anyway, so Trump is calling Ye seriously troubled for showing up with the white nationalist Nick Fuentes. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Fuentes is a Latin surname. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Anyway, according to TMZ, the 45th president posted a fiery message on his Truth social platform on Saturday night saying that Ye crossed the line by bringing Fuentes and others to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. Now, Trump said, "I help a seriously troubled man who just happens to be black. Ye, who has been decimated in his business and virtually everything else, and who always has been good to me by allowing his request for a meeting at Mar-a-Lago so that I can give him much very needed advice." Now, somebody going to Trump for advice regarding anything, regarding relationships, business, presidencies, fatherhood, fidelity, any of those things is like going to the desert to find water. I'm just saying, you ain't gonna get much. But anyway, Trump went on and he says he shows up with 3 people, 2 of which I didn't know. The other, a political person who I haven't seen in years. I told him don't run for office. A total waste of time. Can't win. Fake news. Went crazy. Fake news. Fake news. So literally, Ye went to Mar-a-Lago to ask Trump to be his running mate for 2024. People, people. You know, there's not too much you can say for stuff like this except for bye. Like, we need to stop giving him the press. We need to stop giving him any leeway when it comes to what he's doing. The only reason why I'm talking about it because it involves the former president of these United States. Okay? And that's huge because I am a citizen of these United States. So the mere fact that Kanye is out here bringing an alt-writer who literally got on TV talking about it just so happens that black people are violent and they commit crimes, and if you don't what say, but you won't say that in front of a black person. Why? Because they'll beat me up because they're violent? No, nigga, I bet you won't say that to a black person because they'll read and erase you for the filth that you are. It has nothing to do with violence. They're going to pull out their Harvard degrees on me. You know, infinitesimal people do infinitesimal things and say infinitesimal things. Mr. Fuentes. Just saying. Then on top of that, Kanye shows up to dinner in LA this past weekend with Milo Yiannopoulos, who is also a right-wing provocateur. Both of them denying the Holocaust. I mean, the fact that Ray J is now getting caught up and he's already on a I Hate Kim tour, and now that Kanye has to pay Kim Kardashian $200,000 in child support in addition to the schools and whatever shared expenses as the parent you have. You decided to have 4 kids with Kim. Yay. After you made that famous. You forgot about that? We haven't. They actually met at a hot spot in LA called Giorgio Baldi. And apparently Jay-Z was there that night. Beyonce was there that night. They didn't sit at the same table, but Kanye had dinner with these mofos. And Ray J had dinner with this mofo. It's a very unlikely pair. Ray J went into the spot looking homeless, but I'm sure his clothes cost in excess of $10,000. He had on a Fendi bucket hat. I'm trying to figure out what that was wrapped around. I can't tell if that was a coat or a blanket with buttons. And it looked like he had on slippers. I don't know. But either way, Ye and Ray J are aligning themselves with people that don't like black people. And this is who you decide to align yourself with because the black delegate is just like, you're bugging, Ye. And Ye had some awesome friends. He had Dave Chappelle in his he had Talib Kweli. He had, like, Ye has friends. Dame Dash, Jay-Z. And you mess up all of these relationships? I'm just saying. Keep up with your White Lives Matter and your DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Because you are tripping without suitcases. Okay? Anyway, so next up. So Will Smith literally had his very first interview after the Oscar slap in the spring of 2022 when he slapped Chris Rock. Now, he went on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah to discuss his new movie, Emancipation, which is a movie not about slavery, he says, but about freedom. The movie depicts the of enslaved people after the Emancipation Proclamation was handed down by Abraham Lincoln. So I've definitely shown this picture on shows prior to, because we're always talking about things that directly affect Black people, things that directly affect us in this country, and the residue of slavery and the stench of slavery in this country. So I definitely have shown the picture of the man with the whelps on his back from constant lashing. And Will Smith plays the man in the picture, and he kind of does his journey trying to seek out Lincoln's army so that they can basically say, hey, they're not trying to free us, but we here. So even when the reparations conversation comes up and people talk about, y'all didn't do nothing for it. If we wasn't here when slavery was around, why should we have to pay for it? We wasn't here for the Holocaust, but yet we still paying descendants from the Holocaust, and it didn't even happen on this land. Where they do that at? We wasn't here for the Japanese internment camps, but yet we paying for that. Tell me something that makes sense. Tell me something that you don't look stupid on. Because everybody in this country, including major corporations that still stand firm on the fact that they're equal opportunity employers and Fortune 500 corporations, but literally got their start off the back of enslaved Africans. They ain't pay no money to us. They literally built their wealth off of the back of enslaved Africans. But yeah, you don't want to get nobody no home loan, no business loan. Dude, let me tell you something. The day of reckoning is here. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about Will Smith, but the day of reckoning is here because people's eyes are wide open. And we see you because you have done a group of people like this for centuries and are still doing it. So it's not even just about slavery. It's everything that has happened subsequently since slavery that is still going on in 2022, about to be 2023. So when you get your life together and you really understand the severity of what is going on and what has happened, then you can have a conversation. But until then, don't you dare come on my page and talk about go back to Africa. Because I ain't never been to Africa. I do plan on going though. You go back to the caves in which you crawled out of. But anyway, back to Will. Back to Big Willie style. And the thing about it is, even though he's doing this movie regarding the emancipation, but his acts, subsequent acts that happened with Chris Rock at the Oscars, all could be traced back to slavery. Because he talks about his father on the Trevor Noah show and on the Daily Show. He talks about a boy that is still dealing with wounds from his father beating his mother. He's still talking about trauma. And I've said this time and time again, that we as a diaspora have trauma running through our DNA and running through the molecules within our bodies, running through the blood, everything that has been passed down from century to century. Because if it's not dealt with, all it's going to do is reinvent itself in different ways. And even though Will Smith is a A-list actor and he has his family that gets talked about like dirty dogs all the time, whether or not it's warranted, I'm not going there. But the fact that he went on a platform and smacked the shit out of Chris Rock, that should tell you something right there. Don't nobody with that is healed does stuff like that. That doesn't come from a healed person. That comes from somebody that is dealing with trauma. But anyway, he apologized and he said that there was no excuse for doing what he did, and that, he said, we just have to be kind to people because you don't know what people are going through, which is true. You don't know what people are going through, but I don't want to hold him to this particular incident because of the fact that he's done so much over the years that is the antithesis of this. However, he needs to be held accountable. Just the same way I don't feel that Chris Brown should be held accountable for a mistake that he's made in the past with Rihanna. Especially if Rihanna took him back after that. And Rihanna admitted that she wasn't no saint in the car. But that's another story for another day. So, regarding Will and the slap, I can't say if it's genuine. That's between him and Chris Rock. Now, I have not watched anything that he has done since then, and I don't feel that the movie, because he is obviously not the only one that participated in this movie. Antoine Fuqua is the director, who is an amazing director, a brother, and obviously you have a cast and a crew that's behind it as well, and I don't think that the cast and the crew should suffer for the mistakes of Will Smith, even though he is the star of the movie. Because at the end of the day, that is a story, one of our stories that needed to be told. The same thing with Nate Parker and Birth of a Nation, how he was pinned to the cross for a crime that he was acquitted of after the fact by us. So, we have to learn how to compartmentalize certain things. And as a Black woman in America, that's what we do. We compartmentalize a lot. I don't feel that all these brothers is right. A lot of them do dumb stuff, but so do we. And that's where grace comes in. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people do dumb stuff. A lot of people will do stuff to irk your nerves and piss you off and do stuff that you won't like. But that's when grace steps in. If you're not willing to give someone grace that you ask for yourself, then you might as well close your eyes and die. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. Because if you're walking through this earth holier than thou, then that means you're perfect. You don't have no more to do on this earth. You've done it all. You're perfect. You're blameless, spotless. You don't do nothing. But this is why we need to have grace. We need to have grace with our leaders. We need to have grace with our celebrities. We need to have grace with one another. Now, if there is something that you can deal with directly and approach directly in a way that will bring about healing to both parties, then I say go for it. But if all you're doing is popping off at the mouth and causing more hostility and anger and beef between two parties, just walk away from it and leave it alone, because it's not worth it. Period. But anyway, speaking about beef, I know y'all saw the Real Housewives of Potomac. Child, the season has gotten off to a bombastic start. Number one, I don't agree with Giselle, Ashley, and Mia coming for Chris, Candace's husband, in the way that they did, because of the fact that Chris, in my opinion, has been, I won't say above reproach, because ain't nobody above reproach, but y'all have talked about this man's penis on countless episodes. And y'all have been friends with him on countless episodes. Now, Candace, I cannot stand her. I don't even think Chris needs to be with her, because she is the most spoiledest, entitled, privileged, huge baby. Like grow up. But anyway, because she feels, see, this is what happens when you're not from a specific area, because we grew up saying, don't let your mouth write checks that your ass can't cash. And she is the bouncer of all her checks, because she pops off hard. And you cannot tell somebody, yes, it's a free speech nation, but you can't tell somebody how to react to your words, because you don't know what triggers them. Because everybody has triggers. And like we just spoke about with Mr. Will, is when you're triggered by something, you don't know how you're going to react in that moment. It could be like, you know what, I've had enough. This is it. Enough is enough. And I'm just going for mine. Whatever happens, happens. Do we want that to happen? No, but you have to be mindful. You have to be cognizant of the stuff that you say. You can't be going in on somebody, and then if I so and so, and then it done it back, and that. So you popping off like you about that life, but then when somebody that is really about that life comes and checks you on it, it's not right. No. Yes, we all need to be able to use our words. In a dystopian world, that would happen. But this ain't that world. This is America, Jack. Like Mr. McDowell said to King Jaffe Joffa. This is America, Jack. People say whatever they want to say. And people do whatever they want to do. And if the consequences are, oh, I'll drag you by so and so and so because you clearly don't care about me. Because if you would, you would. Words hurt. Words cut just like a knife, baby. So, regarding Candace and Chris, and I think that storyline needs to be throw that joint in the garbage. But Candace, you need to get somewhere and sit down. And Chris, get you somebody that is older and knows how to talk to her husband. Because the way she even talked to her husband, I mean, want to be like, and the fact that he takes it, I'm just like, yo, I would never talk to my husband like that. And my husband gets on my nerves. But I know up here, Kai, shut up. Watch your mouth. Guard your tongue. See, that's what you call self-control.
Message.
So she getting mad at her mother for not having self-control, but you ain't got self-control either, Candy. But anyway, so recently it appears that Mia Thornton, G's wife, Gordon's wife, is hinting that she's leaving the franchise after an altercation on the last 2 episodes with Wendy Osefo. Now, Professor Dr. Wendy, as she says, has done a 360, no, a whole 180 when it comes to her personality and her stance on a lot of things since she's been on the show. Now, Mia should not have thrown a drink. So if you have not seen it, Peter Thomas, Cynthia Bailey's ex-husband from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, she is no longer on it, but she was a former Real Housewife of Atlanta. Cynthia Bailey's ex-husband, Peter Thomas, has a spot in Miami called Bar One. Now, in one of the previous episodes, Wendy had met with Peter saying that she wanted to go into business with him and create a Nigerian restaurant lounge. And Peter gave her the details of what she needed to do, the monies that she needed to put in. And apparently they went to Miami and went to Peter's establishment to eat. And Peter said that he had beef with Wendy because of the fact that he had sent her over some paperwork and she never responded. Now, Peter saying that to Wendy was a little like, dude, you keep that to yourself. That's between you and Wendy. Mia don't need to know that. But at the dinner that night, Wendy actually started a beef with Charisse, saying that Mia was talking about her in the car. Now, see, everybody thinks about the fact that Wendy and Mia got into it, but nobody remembers the fact that Wendy started it by saying that, she brought up the whole beef and the car situation. I find it quite odd that last year, Wendy went on a campaign about not talking about my husband. Don't talk about my husband. Don't come for my husband. Don't talk about my husband. Don't talk about my husband. The many times that she talked about not talk about her husband, people was talking about her husband because she kept talking, saying, "Don't talk about my husband." So they get into it. Mia asks her or tells her what Peter said. And she was just like, well, this is a business situation. And she was just like, why would I call another man to let another man know I'm in town? And this, that, and the third. And by Wendy saying that, it was very childish. That was number one. Because it had nothing to do with a relationship. It had everything to do with your business relationship with Peter, especially if you were going to be in his establishment. That's just common sense. Like, I'm not calling nobody. That only person I call is my husband. You didn't call your husband when you went to meet with Peter. You didn't tell your husband about that until after you met with Peter. So I don't understand. But see, people, they forget what they say. But that camera, that'll check you every time. So she goes in and she was just like, I don't know what you and your husband do, but me and my husband don't play that way. Okay? That was the first thing said about Mia and her husband. Then Mia tosses a drink in her face. So then that drink toss was it. Because Wendy was going in. She was told, said that they were sleeping with men and women, and then Mia asked her to get up from the table, leave the table. And she was just like, and what are you going to do if I don't? See what I'm talking about, writing checks? Your mouth writing checks? See what I'm talking about? Everybody, big bad bow. This is Professor. This is the professor we talking about. He asked her to leave the table. You know what? Leave the table. Since you're going to disrespect me and my husband. And what are you going to do if I don't? That was her. To the point where Bravo had to come up and put a disclaimer on the episode and say Johns Hopkins has nothing to do with this. This is the doctor we talking about. She got real big bad bow. Now I would be upset too if somebody threw a drink in my face. But if I was that same chick talking about, oh, don't talk about my husband, don't talk about my husband, and the first thing I do, I talk about her husband. Contradictory much? Let's just call a spade a spade. I'm not lying. Go to the footage. What are you gonna do if I don't? What are you gonna that everybody that look like me, they know what this means when somebody does that. And that's what she did. And then Mia got up, she threw her purse at her, and the only person that got hit that night was Karen by Wendy. Karen got hit by Wendy when Wendy got up and started getting about that life, and security was trying to hold her back. Karen got hit. I'm done. These are grown women. And then on top of that, Wendy always wants to talk about colorism and colorism and colorism and colorism and colorism. But the only person that spoke about someone's looks that particular night that was on camera that they actually showed was Wendy. Wendy talked about her feet and she talked about her crater face. Come on now, ladies. Now, all the while, Giselle and Robin had her phone up and was just like, oh, we recording. This is Robin Dixon. And she was just like, either you're going to fight, you're going to fight. If not, then sit down. But you're antagonizing the situation. You're antagonizing the situation. And because of the fact that Wendy was butthurt because she got the drink thrown on her. And again, Mia should not have thrown the drink on her. At all. She should not have gotten up and threw her purse at her. At all. But y'all, other chicks, Ashley, it should never get physical. It should never get physical. Okay. Everybody say it should never get physical when they the ones popping off at the mouth. But whenever it's the other way around, what are you gonna do? And then she leaves and she says that she's not staying at the house because she was just like, she doesn't want to be around Robin and Giselle, who are empathizers with people that get violent. And then the very next breath, she said she don't want to go back to the house because if she sees that bitch, she's going to beat her ass. The same one that said she had to move away from Robin and Giselle because they was empathizing with somebody that got violent. The very next sentence she said was about her causing harm to someone else. We got to do better, people. We got to do better. Anyway, let me know what you think about all that has transpired with Will Smith, with Ye, Trump, and the Real Housewives of Potomac. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and the Tick and the Talk. And until next time, I'm your girl Chaya, and I'm always here to break it down.